Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here, and welcome to Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. This is the first one of 2019. And if I were writing checks for bills and had written some already, I probably would have written 2018 on them because it takes about 2 or 3 weeks before we get that happening. So if you're there, check in. Let me hear from you. Hey, Elena, how are you? Good to see you. And that lets me know people are here. Mark Towns, Brian Post, how you doing? First of all, let me get a little personal business out of the way. Thank you so much. So many of you who sent me words of condolences. I recently lost my mom on the 30th of December. She suddenly passed. I talked to her. Well, I'd gone to see her right after Thanksgiving, and I talked to her on Friday before Sunday when she passed, and she was feeling better than she had felt in a long time. Her mind was clear, which it had been going in and out, and then suddenly on Sunday, she was gone. Fortunately, my niece was there holding her hand as she had a heart attack and passed, and so she didn't have to go by herself. And I'm just returning from East Texas, where we had a wonderful ceremony, and so many people got up and spoke at the funeral and said such kind things about her and what she had meant to them in their lives. And, my dad was always a hero to me. I have to say my mom has been a hero for me as well. And I just hope that when my time comes that I will have touched as many lives positively as my mom. Anyway, all right, moving on. Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. This is the very first one of the year. Let me look over here, see who's there. Hello to lots of folks. Wow, everybody's tuning in. That's great. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Tina. T. Lisa, Jody, Linda, Laura Woodhall. We had that with my grandmother. We saw her Friday for lunch. Friday, my cousin saw her Saturday afternoon, and she fell asleep. And that was that. Yeah. Well, we all owe a death. Anyway, I was on Facebook today, and my buddy Scott Parkin wrote a very nice article talking about bad-mouthing on Facebook and in social media. And I've seen that myself from time to time, that actors will complain about people in the industry, casting directors, directors in general, agents, other voiceover artists, or jobs that they've heard. And let me just say, it's not a good idea. It's really not a good idea. People find out. If the person you're bad-mouthing doesn't find out, somebody else does, and it does not make you look good. So I would just stay away from that. You don't want that to come back and bite you. And, some casting directors and agents and other voice actors, we are but people, and people can hold grudges, and you don't know who might be then saying some things about you that kind of keep you from moving forward in the way that you want. So, and on the other side of that, be careful of how much you talk about the work that you're getting. And believe me, I understand how good you feel about certain jobs. And I'm likely to, mention some of the jobs that I do, and I think they're particularly significant to me. And I think we all do that. But be careful how much you're doing. If you're dropping that every day, I have seen people even do things like talk about how much money they're making, or one acquaintance of mine had checks to show how much money was. It's gauche. So just don't do that. Now, I had a question somebody left in the comments. Hi, Dave. My question is how to stay motivated and get my demo out there while working full-time. I still don't have my website yet or home studio. Should I go to old school and make calls now and use a local studio, or should I wait until I have the site and at least mobile equipment? That's an issue for a lot of people trying to make the step from one world into the voiceover world. If you're having that, raise your hand. I got my hand up, but I've been doing this for 30 years. So, but I remember when I was making the transition, and fortunately I had a nice job on the radio. I was doing mornings at a radio station. So my afternoons were free. My weekends were free. I took classes. I took workshops. I studied privately with coaches, and it, because my day was more of a 4 or 5 hour day at work, not as tough as some people may have it when you're working full time. But what you're going to have to do is be very, very, very stingy with your time with other people that are not on the road that you're on. I'm going to encourage you, if you are trying to do voiceover and you're not in the voiceover community, if you're not going to voiceover meetup functions, if you're not a part of voiceover Facebook groups, you want to join. You want to get involved with the people who are doing this. One, your friends and family who aren't doing this do not understand. They don't know what this is all about. Their idea of it is incorrect. The people who know what you're going through are the people who are going through what you're going through, trying to get their voiceover careers together, or have had their voiceover careers get started and moving along. And even once you get started, it's still work to keep going. I always tell people the work is getting work. So join the community. And the reason you want to do that is not only for information, because people in the voiceover community who are doing it know about the microphones. They know about the software they use to record, where they're finding work and how they're doing it. So, and we're very good about sharing information. Hell, I hear there's this guy on Wednesdays that does this live thing at 6 p.m. where he'll answer any question about voiceover you want. So we're a very sharing community. So that's one thing. Now, she says, should I go old school and make calls now and use a local studio? You can do that. And there are a number of studios around town here in Los Angeles that offer voice actors discounted rates for auditions, discounted rates. If you've got, say, an ISDN gig. And when you talk about making the calls, I imagine you're talking about calling prospective clients. Sure, that's a good thing to do. Make sure you put together a good system so you know how to circle back to people you have reached and recall the people you haven't reached, and remember their names, get their email addresses. So you do that on a consistent basis at a particular time every day. And it's going to take time. Also, let's say, what else did she say? Don't have my website yet or home studio. She's got her demos out there. Okay, good. You also might start knocking on some agents' doors. If you're living in Los Angeles, see if you can get into an agent. The fact that it's difficult doesn't mean you shouldn't try. And you want to develop some kind of relationship. Don't expect that one email you send to get the positive response. It takes time. Agents are busy. They're not going to just listen to everything, but if you stay consistent, get back to, I sent my demo a month ago. I know you're very busy, blah, 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 blah. Don't make it too long. You never know when your timing is going to be right. Or should I wait until I have the site and at least the mobile equipment? I would spend a little time putting your site together. You don't have to launch it today if you did it today, but you can start putting it together, put your demos on, and if you are making those calls, now you have a place to send them. So do get your site together with your demos. You want to make sure that they know how to reach you, and it's very easy to hear your demos. And you might want to think about putting up a little rate card to help yourself with those conversations about, well, what do you charge? It's much easier when they can look at, oh, this is what they charge. How often do you go into a store and there's no price on anything? Put a price on it. And stay consistent. Know how much time and when you are going to be working on voiceover, and step by step, steady by steady, and you'll get it done. Let's see. What questions do we have here? Mark Towns, hi Dave. Are celeb voices getting all the good work? Well, they get a lot of it. That's for sure. They get a lot of it. We have a lot of national campaigns that have been going to celebrities for years. I remember a number of years ago, this is maybe 10 years ago, at the Voicecaster, there was a note up on the wall, and it listed about 30 or 40 campaigns, and it said, these are campaigns you did not get to audition for because they're being done by a celebrity. We're kind of a celebrity-crazy society now. If we don't have enough celebrities, we create them out of reality shows and make them celebrities. So it's a feature of modern life. Does that mean you're not going to work? Not necessarily. And I've even had some celebrities I've worked with that weren't that good. Unless they memorized their script and had a camera, it just wasn't working for them. And then you have some people who have been really, Susan Sarandon, a number of other people, Michael B. Jordan. There are a number of celebrities that are killing it and doing well, and it's not just the fact that they're celebrities that gets them the work. When we talk about animated movies, I know there was a time I felt like, well, geez, how come the celebrities are getting all the animated movies? It should be us regular voiceover people. Well, those movies might not get made if it weren't for those celebrities, and that gives those of us who this is what we do, voiceover, the opportunity to be a part of those movies. Maybe we're not playing the major roles, but we get good roles, we get paid, and we get residuals. So don't knock the fact that we have a lot of celebrities doing animated features, because it opens up work for the rest of us. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Jonathan. As difficult as... Okay, let's get past that. Thank you, Kier. Thank you for this. I've had quite a few people ask about the voiceover industry. T. Marie, there you go. Trying to get back into VO biz. What's the best way to get an agency like Atlas? Well, one, be really good, have really good demos, and be persistent about knocking on their doors, knowing someone perhaps that is a client of Atlas that can speak up for you and is willing to speak up for you. I get people all the time, hey, Dave, can you bring my demo in? Most of the time, I'm not going to do it. Maybe I don't know you well enough. Maybe your demo isn't good enough. I'm saving, to play those cards for people who are really, really something special. But that doesn't keep you from sending your demo and a nice cover letter, short, to the point, with the understanding that they may not listen to it for a while. So sometimes you're just going to have to be consistent with that. And once again, I'll cycle back to be in the voiceover community. A lot of voiceover groups and meetup groups and voiceover workout groups bring agents in from time to time to give pointers on voiceover. And from time to time, somebody in that group, as a matter of fact, I know of this happening, sometimes they discover somebody in that group that they want to bring into their agency. So be involved. Don't sit at home by yourself. Be out there. Get involved. So let's see. Greg, my son. Oh, thank you, man. I did. And we're gonna find. By the way, are you the voice of the Biltmore Estate in Asheville? It sure sounds like it could be you. I don't think that's me. And I say that because sometimes you don't remember all the jobs you do if you're working a lot. And I'm not trying to say that like, well, I just don't remember all the jobs I do. It's when you're working every day, sometimes you don't. Okay. Can we send you a question privately if we're not sure it would be kosher for everyone else to see it? What kind of question might that be? Yes, you may. Just send it to the Facebook message. Tiffany Ann Taylor, I have a video game demo, reel, website, state business license, business cards, etc. all done, but feel stuck on who to contact or where to look for gigs, auditions. I'm Seattle-based. Tips? Well, you have some good agencies up there in Seattle. I would contact agents there. I would contact prospective clients there. I would join the voiceover community there. In both ears, good agency up there, and they're not the only one, but that's what I would do, Tiffany. I would start knocking on those doors and, again, join the voiceover community up there. What's up, Sean? How are you? And happy Wednesday to you, too. Hey, Chris. Hey, Orlando, Aaron, Robin, Issa, Wendy, Jessica. Let's see. What do you see as the future for VO? Where is the industry headed? Oh, man, looking into my crystal ball. There's some things that are a little bit scary. And I have to confess, I've been a part of them. I'm one of the Google voices. They for the Google Assistant. They spent a couple of weeks recording with them early last year. And they use artificial intelligence to take all the things that you've said. This was 12 days of recording, 4 days, an hour, and the most random things you could imagine. Some things that were just true, from celebrity spouses and kids' names to sports scores and statistics to directions for places all over the country and the world, to restaurants, to gobbledygook where they just nonsensical things that you're saying. And the artificial intelligence will take that and make you sound like you. And we're hearing a lot of artificial intelligence, especially with instructions for things that maybe don't require the true human touch, the real emoting, those imperfections that we all have, stumbling through a word, finding the words that we want to say. So far, artificial intelligence hasn't been able to get there. So I think the more mundane, informational type jobs, we are already losing some of that work to artificial intelligence. However, I don't think cartoons, I don't think video games, I don't think the majority of commercials and TV promos and that kind of work is going to go to artificial intelligence because it just needs too much of the human touch. I may be proved wrong. I hope not. Let's see. Retna, how you doing? I liked what you had to say today. Nice article there. Let's see. Back to I made a couple of notes for myself about the person who was asking how to work a full-time job and keep working, study demos, equipment, website, and make a plan. That may be the toughest part of this. Well, I won't say the toughest part, but the thing that a lot of people leave out in their trying to get their career together. Yeah, you really want to be good at the technique of this. But the world has changed in voiceover. When I was coming up, I needed to be good. I needed to get good demos done. And then my agent did most, not all, most of the promoting of me. We're living in a world now where a lot of people have agents, a lot of people don't. A lot of people are doing what I call the high-profile work, where you're on radio, television, video games, cartoons, and a lot of people are doing very well with audiobooks and corporate narration and e-learning. Those are areas that, well, maybe people aren't going to hear you a lot in the media. But that money is green and pays your bills too. And you may find that that's the perfect place for you. So don't forget about those areas. All right. Lena, I plan to fly into LA throughout the year for coaching and workouts. Will you be coaching in person at all this year out there? Absolutely. When I'm doing private coaching, sometimes people come to the studio, and that's fine. I like being in person with people. But there's a benefit when you do it via Skype and your camera's on. And the reason being, I do a video of you, of the session. You see yourself, you see me, you hear everything. You get to hear it again. And as soon as the session is over, I send you the video of that session so you can relive that session. So don't shortchange the technology of long-distance coaching. And, of course, I'm not the only one that does that. Plus, I will be on the road. As a matter of fact, next Wednesday, I won't be here because I'll be on my way to London. I'll be teaching voice acting for video games there, my 2-day workshop, with a Friday session, a Q&A, with Mark Esdale, who is a director, a London director, who also has a studio here, Vault. Vault 501 over in Santa Monica. So I will miss next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday I will be back and we'll do this again. Hey Dave, good advice. Oh, thanks, Randy. By the way, as Randy shows up, reminds me, Connection Open. I truly believe this is going to be the future of long-distance recording. I think you're going to find in the long run it's going to be better and cheaper than anything else we have out there now. And Randy, do you still have your deal going on? If you sign up at the website, they won't take your money. They'll send you some free passes so you can have an opportunity to try it out for yourself. I reached out to both Chuck and Jay. They reached right back out to me. Thanks again. I was talking about Chuck and Stacy. Earlier today, one of my students was asking about where can I get more information. And this guy is going to do very well. And like a number of people I work with, they're not just working with me. He has chosen some very good people from different areas to work with, which I think is smart. A lot of us are teaching the same thing, the same basics, but the language we use is a little different. Our approach is a little different. And maybe, like for me, most of the teaching I'm doing is in video games. I also teach TV promos and commercials and voiceover and general narration. But most people tap me for video games, and great. I'm a great believer in getting as much free information as you can. You go to my YouTube page, you go to Nancy Wolfson's YouTube page, Bob Bergen's YouTube, Scott Parkin's YouTube, Scott Brick, Mary Lynn Wisner. There are just a Bill DeWeese. There are a bunch of people out there sharing this information to help you. We don't think of it as a zero-sum game. Oh, the pie is only so big, and if I share this pie with people, I won't have pie for me. No, there's a lot of work out there, and people who are good are going to, find their way to it and do it. And I was talking about Chuck and Stacy because there's the VO Buzz Weekly. Their weekly show, they have interviewed the best and the brightest in voiceover, myself included, but not just voice actors of every genre, but also directors and casting directors and agents. Great resource for finding information. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Best suggestion for UK voice actors trying to get work in the US. Whew. That's one I'm not sure that I can answer for you. One, not that you have to be here, but developing a presence here might be a little more difficult. What I would do if I were in the UK and trying to get work here, I would do that through maybe Voices 1, 2, 3 is one way to do it, and two, see if I could get an agent in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago, because those are the three big towns for voiceover work. But that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Not saying it can't be done, and I'm sure there's some people doing it. But it's going to be a little bit tougher because you're not present on this continent. Let's see. How much can I expect to pay for a good demo? Give it to me straight, Dave. I can take it. Okay, Ryan. About $2,500 is the going rate. Now, you may find them as inexpensively as $1,500. And you may find them as expensive as, $35,000, $4,000. But that's the area you're going to be paying. The demos I do, and I don't do a lot of them. I don't push it a lot. One, because I'm busy, but it's $2,500, and you got to pay half of it up front. And most everybody else, it's the same deal. And I have had the conversation with aspiring voice actors or some who are doing some work who had that $150, that $200, that $500 demo that just wasn't going to work for them. It just didn't sound right. It wasn't that their talent wasn't there, but the vehicle for your talent, the vehicle of your demo, has to sound right. The people who are listening to hire you have a certain expectation. It needs to sound like, if it's a commercial demo, these are commercials that you've done. If it's a video game demo, that these are actual video games. Now, my buddy Mark Esdale, that I'm going to be doing the Q&A with in London, he is a great believer in demos that have no production on them. Not very many other people feel that way. And the reason he feels that way is because so many people have Frankenstein together auditions and demos that they couldn't recreate the work in reality. But the market hasn't gone that way. The market wants to hear demos that suggest that this is coming from a video game. Now, when I'm working on demos with people, you are the star. Your voice is the star. Your acting is the star. We have music. We have sound effects and sound design, but you're the star. I don't recommend doing too many accents, too many crazy voices. I recommend you let your voice print lead the way. You can have some on there, but let your voice print be the star. Okay, absolutely. Okay, Randy Morrison answering, absolutely on the free passes for Connection Open. So Connection Open, it's a good time to get in. Get in before everybody gets in. Trakina, how you doing? Hey, Dave, what are some of your suggestions for doing grunts, exertions, etc., without harming your voice? Don't do them too long. Don't do too many of them at a time. It is one of the toughest things to do in video games in terms of stress on your voice. Fortunately, fortunately, although there are a lot of those games out there, more and more we have games that have a limited amount of vocal stress. And rather than do all the kinds of vocal stress that they might want, back in the day, what they would do would be you do the whole session, and at the end of it, okay, we're going to do the efforts. And you do all the hits, all the being hitting, all the jumping, all the running, all the crying, all the dying, all the screaming. And you'd have 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes more of all of that. Nowadays, they're looking more at the script. Okay, your character only has this amount of efforts, and so those are the only efforts you'll do, and that saves a lot of voices. But if you're going to shout, actually shout. Don't try to constrain your voice. It puts too much pressure in trying to not be quite so loud, but sound like you're loud. And if you have damaged your voice, which we have all done, Lord knows I have, while doing that, shut up. Rest. If you have a cold and your sore throat, don't whisper. It's tougher on your voice. Drink lots of liquids. I love hot water and honey. As a matter of fact, I like just honey. I will often just take a teaspoon of especially Manuka honey or, raw honey. The pasteurized stuff, a lot of the goodies in it are gone. But that New Zealand Manuka honey is great. It's expensive, but it's really good. Or you can find natural honeys, organic honey that has not been processed, has not been pasteurized. So all the goodies are in there. And once again, when your voice is shut up, relax, drink some tea. Steve Bailey, my man, what's up? Thank you, Dave. Always good advice. Oh, well, good to see you, too. I reached out to them for a demo reel production unless you do them. I do them, but only for video games, and we'd have to work a bit together before I would do one, which I suggest anyway. Another thing, and I'm not bad-mouthing anybody who does them. My last batch, J. Michael Collins did for me, and he does a great job, and he's a good director, and I believe all actors need a director. We need to know how to self-direct, but for a lot of projects, it's great to have somebody else's ears and mind that you trust to help you along. And I could have just as well done them with Chuck and Stacy, but J. Michael made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So yeah, I do them, but I want to work with you for a bit. Generally, you will have had to have done a number of sessions with me, unless you're just kick-ass. Kick-ass great, and it's just a matter of, hey, let's just put this thing together. Don't run into that a lot. All right. Sharon King, Alric Martin, Omar McClinton. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Do you recommend voice spray? Yeah, voice spray can be okay. And there's a few different brands, names I can't think of offhand. What do I have here? I've got, this is Singer's Saving Grace, Cool Mint. Well, let's see how it works. I feel better already. Okay. Lori Katz. Oh, thank you, Lori. She said I'm really cool to work with. By the way, talent. Pamela, how are you? Hi, Dave. As always, thanks for all the generous information, and thank you for the card. Pamela was very sweet. Ryan, okay, so yeah, $2,500. Got it. Now, was that got it as in you've got it, or you got the information? Never mind. You don't have to answer that. Joni Silva, do you have advice about self-directing? Yeah, you got to learn how to do it. We're living in a world now where fewer and fewer agents have as much time or as many directors for their booths. People are living all over. They're signing talent from, all over their general area and other parts of the country. And you're not always able to come in to audition. Plus, if this is what you do, and you're working a lot, you can lose gigs because you were driving to your agent, waiting in the lobby, and then driving back. Whereas if they send it to you in an email and you can do it in your own home studio, there's more work and more auditions that you can do. I'm going to give you a couple tips on the question to ask yourself when you're doing an audition. Do you believe you? Do you believe this character? Does it sound real? Does it sound like one kind of what they're looking for, but does it sound real? Because for the most part, yeah, the big announce thing is out there. I get some of that work and do it, and it's fun. But even then, you have to find how to do the big announce as a real person. If it's kind of cartoony, well, that's where it's going to end up, in the cartoons. The question is not, do I sound good? The question is, do I believe the read? If I know who this is directed at, say we're talking about commercials, if I know the demographic that they're just directed at, am I talking to that person? Am I speaking to them in such a way they're going to understand me? And you've heard voiceover 101, talk to somebody you know. And people have a hard time with that. But you really need to have that face in mind and play off the reactions you believe they are having. You know, every voiceover is a conversation. Even if nobody says anything back, people give you looks. You ever had that conversation with somebody and they didn't say anything, but the looks on their faces said a lot? Well, imagine that. Imagine what they're saying. In between lines, give them just that, those millimeters of a second to react to what you're saying and for you to react to that. So you want to be believable. Don't let the words make you say them before they need to be said. I run into that all the time. People just too fast. We don't actually talk that fast in real life. I mean, you might be a fast talker, but there are going to be places where you're stopping and slowing down and reaching for words and allowing your inner dialogue to color what you're saying, make a sharp right turn in the conversation to something else. And all too often we think, oh, well, these are the words. There's no comma in there. I better just say it all the way through. I must pay attention to that period. Free yourself from the tyranny of words and punctuation. The words are working for you, not the other way around, and punctuation is suggested. Keever loves Singer Saving Grace. I like that. Javier Espinoza, still my hero. I tell a story. People ask me, oh, how'd you get Lee Everett in the Walking Dead game? They didn't hire me first. They had hired somebody else whose name I do not know and don't want to know. They had done the whole first episode. And they listened back and decided it just wasn't working. And Javier Espinoza had heard me on their Law and Order game. I was playing a crooked politician. And they were looking for somebody just to be a regular voice, to be a real person. And they said, oh, why don't you give Dave Fennoy a shot? Give him an audition. And the rest is history. So thank you again, Javier. You're still my hero. Where do you guys buy the Saving Grace spray? And thanks always for your advice, support, and help, Dave. You are welcome, and you can find it online. I'm a real fan of Amazon. I keep putting money in Jeff Bezos' pocket. He's going to need it now. He's getting divorced. I don't know if you'd heard. And wow, I bet that's going to be a hell of a divorce settlement. But I find it online. And you can find almost anything you're looking for on Amazon. And once again, much like driving to your agents to do your auditions. Some things you can just save time. I'm not a great believer in just staying in your house and not leaving. Don't get me wrong. But you don't want to have to leave for everything. I look at what I do in voiceover with my home studio. This is a real 9-to-5 job, and I do a lot of overtime. This would be overtime for me, but it's also a pleasure. I just enjoy doing this. So I'm in my studio at some reasonable hour, 9 o'clock, hopefully. Sometimes I'm not in there till 10. I walk the dogs and do some things. But after that, it's all about the voiceover work that day. And we're living in a world where they want it faster, quicker, sooner, better. So you get auditions in the mail, in your email that, hey, can I have this back in an hour, in half an hour, by end of day? As a matter of fact, by end of day is, that's a lot of time. Not when it's 5 o'clock, but you will miss opportunities for auditions, and that's our real work. Our real job is to audition, and much like sales, if you've reached a certain level of proficiency, the more auditions you do, the more work you will do. The more work you will do. So you don't want to be away from your studio and unable to do 5 or 6 auditions and only be able to get that 1 or 2 in. Because in that, if you'd done that 7 or 10 auditions that day, you have a better shot at booking 1 or 2 of them. Deb, when it's snowing so much that you can't really even get out of the driveway, it's nice to have a home studio. Yes, it would be. Of course, living here in Southern California, I wouldn't know about snow on the driveway. When I was growing up in Cleveland, yeah. When I lived in D.C. from time to time, when I went to school in Minnesota, yeah. I remember snow. I didn't like it. Well, I liked it when I was a kid. You could sled and have snowball fights, but what was wrong with me? Johnny Heller, my man. Johnny Heller, one of the kings of audiobooks. And you are a better man than I, Johnny, because I've done 3 and hope to never do a 4th. And how many have you done now? 6, 7, 800 books? Oh, yeah, Deb, I don't like it either. And you know what? I think we're just about out of questions. Was there anything else I meant to talk about? No. I think I've done enough here today. Hey, listen, thank you for dropping by. I really appreciate it. I hope I've been able to answer some questions for you. A reminder, I will not be here next week. I'll be on a plane heading for London, where I'll be teaching voice acting for video games. But I'll be back by the following Wednesday. I think that's the 23rd. And once again, if you're interested in private coaching, you can visit my website, davefennoy.com, hit the Study VO button, and we can get it on. And happy to help you. Oh, there was one more thing. I don't know why I didn't write this down. I had a student today, good actor. And we were working on some scripts, and they were dialogue. And he was doing some things that didn't fit with the dialogue from the person that he would have been talking to as an actor. And I said, well, you know what? I like what you're doing, but it doesn't fit with what's going on. And he said to me, I want to be that guy that gives them something different than everybody else is going to give them. And I understand that. But I'm going to posit that the secret sauce and that thing that is different about your reads are going to be, it's you. Okay? That's one. And you don't want to be different for the sake of difference's sake. You want to let that we're talking about video game and animation. You want that character to speak through you. You want an honest portrayal. You want that character to come through honestly. You don't want to try all the tricks in the book that you have to show off what you can do. Everything lives in a box. And the different boxes of different sizes. If you're doing a trailer read, the trailer read is very small. The box is tiny. But you can do everything you can do in that small box. The video game box is big, but then you have different boxes depending on what kind of character you're playing. And if you're doing dialogue, you're in a certain place, it's a certain volume, you have a certain relationship with that person. So everything has to fit within the parameters of that scene. You can't just go off willy-nilly trying to show off that you can do some interesting acting beats. Save that for when it calls for some interesting acting beats, some things that are a little outside and a little different and make people go, wow, that's different. What you want to play is the character. You want a real, honest, believable character. That's hard enough to do without trying to add the extra. I get it. You want to stand out. You want to seem different. And that's okay. But once again, that difference is going to be you. You are the secret sauce. It's the essence of you that is unique. And that's what's going to make your read unique. So play the character. Be honest with that character. Let that audition be so that when somebody hears it, wow, that really is this character. And you'll win a lot more auditions. That's your intention. Not to show off, not to book the gig. Yeah, you want to book the gig, but that's not your intention. Your intention is to play that character honestly. And I'll leave you with that. All right, 2 weeks, okay? Once again, DaveFennoy.com if you're interested in private coaching. And I will see you in 2. All the best. Bye-bye.